We have a full agenda, as everyone can see, because it's been a while since we had a meeting. So our first order of business is approval of the minutes of our May 22nd, 2018 meeting. So director's report, and I'll hand it over to Stephanie.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's been a while. Just do a real quick recap. First is the 30-meter telescope appeal to the Supreme Court. Oral arguments were heard before the Hawaii Supreme Court on June 21st, 2018, and October 30th, the court issued its written decision affirming that the BLNR's approval of the Conservation District Use Permit. In short, the court held that the Conservation District lands owned by the state, such as the lands in the summit area of Mauna Kea, are public resources held in trust for the benefit of the people, pursuant to Article 7, Section 1 of the Hawaii Constitution. The court also held that the TMT project did not violate the Hawaii Constitution and public trust principles. The Board of Land and Natural Resources found there was no actual evidence of use of the TMT observatory site and accessway area by Native Hawaiian practitioners. The court held that the Board of Land and Natural Resources findings that the project met the criteria for evaluating the merits of the proposed land use pursuant to HAR 13530C was not erroneous. The court cited TMT's compliance with all applicable rules, regulations, requirements, the master plan, the CMP, subplans, and the TMT management plan, along with mitigation measures committed to in the TMT final EIS and CDWA, as well as the TMT management plan, demonstrate that the TMT project will not cause substantial adverse impact to the existing natural resources within the surrounding area, community, or region. Further, the court noted BLNR's analysis of the removal of telescopes from the summit ridge would preserve the natural beauty and open space characteristics of the land, and that the university formally committed that the TMT is the last new area of Mauna Kea where a telescope project would be sought. Regarding the florist versus the Board of Land and Natural Resources, on August 8th, 2018, the Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favor of the university and BLNR, reversing the lower court decision that the land board erred in denying Kalani Florist's request for a contested case hearing on the board's consent to the TMT sublease. OHA lawsuit, as many of you know, that OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, filed its complaint against various state defendants and the university on November 7, 2017. The defendants were served on December 20th, 2017, and in January, UH filed a motion to dismiss the complaint. The judge had held periodic status conferences and eventually held a hearing on the motion on January 30th, 2019. On March 11th, the judge dismissed the part of the complaint concerning allegations of breach of contract and allowed allegations of breach of fiduciary duty to continue. The final order of this ruling has not yet been entered into by the court, and no trial date has yet been set. On the ingress-egress parking project near the Visitor Information Station, we're happy to report that it is moving along. On June 8th of last year, the BLNR granted a Conservation District Use Permit for this project, which includes an ingress-egress lane and a parking lot near the Visitor Information Station. This project is in compliance with the Comprehensive Management Plan, which calls for putting parking and pullouts on the same side as the Viz, primarily for safety reasons. Construction began early in January 2019, and it is moving along on its schedule and is actually ahead of schedule. It is about halfway completed, and we anticipate that this project will be completed in the early summer, if not earlier. The university is initiating the process of updating the CMP, the Comprehensive Management Plan, and the Master Plan. Back in 2014, OMKM discussed with the Mauna Kea Management Board that it was not enough time had passed to sufficiently vet all the management actions called for in the plan, and it was premature to update the CMP at that time. Most of the changes would have been made that would have been made in 2014 would have been mostly housekeeping measures, such as updating information and editing spelling changes to names, to place names. The university believes that now is a good time. We have a good handle on the status of the resources, and that we have implemented most of the management actions in the CMP, and that it's a good time to begin the process to updating that document, along with the 2000 master plan, which planning horizon ends in 2020. OMKM continues to its outreach efforts to groups who are interested in learning about OMKM stewardship on Mauna Kea. We have done numerous presentations to various community advocate groups, community associations. We did a presentation at the West Hawaii Forum. We did one with the Democratic Party Hawaiian Affairs Committee. We go to schools and other community events. Upcoming events includes Kealakehe Elementary Science Day, Mountain View Library, Keaukaha Elementary School Science Night, Earth Day at UH Hilo, and Astro Day at Prince Kuhio Mall. In other matters, many of you may have heard that in July of 2018, Jack's Tours, a longtime tour operator on the island of Hawaii, went out and closed its business, primarily because due to the lava eruption in the Puna area. Jack's is one of the permitted tour operators on the Mauna Kea UH lands. Jack's was allowed to transfer its permit based on a force majeure situation, and the new operator that's taking its place is Super Vacations Hawaii. And then on January 25th, OMKM gave its annual report to the BLNR on the status of the implementation of the CMP, and in that it also included an analysis of the vehicle status on Mauna Kea. So it's easier for me to do this as a PowerPoint. Okay. So in addition to describing to the land board a number of the projects that we're doing in terms of resource preservation and protection, we also gave them this wrap-up of a summary of where we are in terms of implementing the management actions. And so we've divided those management actions into basically three groups. Ongoing, which are activities that are established processes in place and are part of OMKM's daily responsibilities. For the most part, these kinds of actions would never be completed because it is part of our responsibilities, our stewardship responsibilities. Those that are identified are in progress. These types of actions require specialized implementation, usually some kind of a study or the need of a consultant. These have been initiated, but yet have not yet been completed. And then, of course, those that have been completed. So here is a summary, a table where we are in terms of implementing the management actions. There are 103 management actions. This compares 2017 to 2018. 72 are ongoing, so these are part of our normal responsibilities. 10 are in progress. We've started them. They've initiated, but they haven't been completed. And we have 21 completed management actions. So we have taken steps to at least start the actions, and most of them are those that are currently ongoing on the part of the office. So these are some vehicle statistics. This just shows what the picture looks like on the summit with respect to private vehicles. So the graph on the left shows the average daily counts by year and by time of day. And as you can see, the greatest impact, or the greatest period where the greatest number of cars is during the 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. period. This is when a number of people come up to do their sunset viewing. And this is followed by the 12 to 3 and then the 8 to 11 a.m. period. The graph on the right depicts vehicle counts by the month. And the same thing, you have the greatest number of vehicles during that 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. period, which is the sunset viewing. And you can see by the month, you have a high number primarily in the summer, and then it starts to pick up in January during the winter month. We looked at analysis of the cars. These are all private vehicles, Summit versus Halipohaku. And again, as you can see, the greatest volume of cars is during the 4 p.m., 7 p.m., even on the Summit, as well as at Halipohaku. But most of the cars are going to HP, even during the other periods of the day. In fact, the number of cars going to HP during that sunset stargazing period is like almost triple that the number of cars going to the Summit. Okay. This is HP, the average by month and time, and we only have data from April because this is when we installed an axle counter, so we were not able to provide you with data prior to April. It starts to ramp up in April, then it jumps up in July. And this is an interesting graph because this is the lava eruption happened in May. And a lot of the visitors who were still coming to the island didn't have the national park to go to. So we're not sure if they were just coming to the mountain because they had no place else to go. But this is what it just shows for the period in 2018. This graph just basically shows the total number of vehicles that come up to the mountain, and that's by the axle counter. The axle counter is located near the visitor information station. So it records all cars that are going up to the mountain. Of that, about 16,000 of these cars are RFID users, and these are cars that are driven by the observatories, university personnel, and commercial tour operators. They all have these passive RFID tags in their cars so that we can count them with an RFID counter located near Halipohaku. So about 85% of the of traffic coming up the mountain are private vehicles. Okay, and that concludes my report so far.
Great, thank you, Steph. Directors, any questions for Stephanie? You mentioned starting the updating of the CMP. Of those actions that are ongoing, what do you expect to happen with those as part of the update? Do those go away, or?
I think those that have been completed would probably be no longer an active action, but they would still be included somewhere in the CMP as part of our process for stewardship responsibilities. There are some actions that are kind of redundant, so we want to clear that up. There are some actions that are not quite so clear that we need to clarify in terms of how we're going to implement them.
Thank you. We do have a section in the agenda for public comments on the things that are going to come after that point, but is there anybody who wants to ask a question at this point about our executive director's report?
Stephanie stated there was state lands, but actually if you look at the history, in 1898, the Republic of Hawaii, which considered U.S. citizens, ceded illegally to the United States 1,750,000 acres of Crown and government lands. That became the territory of Hawaii. 1920 became Hawaiian homelands, all 1,750,000 acres. Then in 1950, by the Admission Act, it stated that the state of Hawaii, by compact, was going to manage the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. I had put in February requests for a challenge the general lease because it's based on calling the lands demise lands rather than Hawaiian homelands 5F lands. So I think that needs to be clarified that the state has no lands. These lands still remain Crown and government lands because there'll always be a challenge to the 1898.
So thank you very much, Lloyd. You are always consistent in making that point at every meeting. It is duly noted. We operate under a different regime right now, and until that changes, we have to operate by these rules.
Yeah,
so
but you gotta always
much.
call the state land, what the state calls state lands is actually Hawaiian homelands.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to add any comments? Our next item on the agenda, which is Kahuku-Mauna.
This is just an update on Kahuku-Mauna business since I came back to the board in 2018 until our last meeting last month. So number one is that we reviewed the 5-year proposals for long-range upgrades submitted by all observatories. These upgrades are internal to the observatory structure, such as installation of additional security cameras, adding more vents, and installing fire alarms. Okay. Secondly, and you're going to take this up on items E and F of your new business action items. Last month, we reviewed 2 new proposals for research projects. One was a global airborne microbial sampling, which proposes collection of air and soil samples on Mauna Kea, and geology research of lava and ice interaction to support Mars analog applications. This project is mostly proposed for the NARS region of the Mauna Kea. However, there is the council requested more information from the project as they are seeking permission to conduct possible research on Pu Poliahu, which falls under UH managed lands. Third, we reviewed the annual long-term archaeological monitoring reports. Fourth, and I can see Peter Young is here, but we have been given updates on the CSO decommissioning process. Item number 5, John D. Freeze presented on the Ahua Heinoa Hawaiian Nomenclature Project that provides Hawaiian names to astronomical objects discovered by observatories on Haleakala and Mauna Kea. This project is conducted in partnership with Imiloa, Kahakaula o Ke'ilikulani College of Hawaiian Language, and the Mauna Kea observatories. And lastly, I can see that you're going to take this matter up, but we interviewed 3 candidates to serve on the Kahuku-Mauna Council with recommendations to approve 2 and keep the number of councilors to an odd number. Thank you.